The Select Committee on Public School Finance, Weights, Adjustments, and Allotments will please come to order. Clerk will call the roll.
Shapiro.
Here.
Eisler. Here. Duncan. Patrick. Here. West. Here. Aycock. Here. Huckford. Here. Villarreal. Scott. Colwell. Here. Thiessen. Here. Kellner. Here. Keller. Here. Middleton. Here. Whitaker. Here. A quorum is present.
A quorum is present. This is the first of many meetings that we will have. People are probably looking around saying, how can you talk at this moment in time about public school finance when all we read in the paper is there is no money, there is no money, there is no money. Well, the truth of the matter is there is no money. And to be honest with you, sometimes, say it again? Sometimes in those situations, we make some of our best decisions. I happen to believe that the financial environment that we're in today could reap us tremendous rewards at the end of the day. And I think that it is our turn now to look at the old phrase, necessity is the mother of invention. We have a necessity to look at what we're going to do in public education over the next 2 years at least, and even have a vision. I would suggest to you that no matter how many years you're in the legislature, understanding every single thing that we do in weights and adjustments and allotments and all of those things that make up our school finance system and formula is elusive. It's hard to understand. It's difficult. So I was actually going to say we're all going to take a test at the end of the day. But I'm afraid I would fail, so I'm not going to give you the test as a former high school teacher. I do think we have an opportunity to investigate all of these, to understand why we have some, why some are failing us. I look at Senator Duncan and I think about transportation allotments. Hasn't been changed since 1984. I look at Senator West and I think of the cost of education index. Hasn't been changed since 1992 or 91, I think. We've got antiquated structures. I want us to all be able to look outside of what we do currently. I think it's important that we know what we currently do, but let's look at some other options. Let's see if we really believe the system we have in place today is working well.
I'm hoping that this particular group, given the diversity on the group in terms of state agencies, superintendents, legislators, that we come up with something that we can in fact use as a template to do some positive things even in these economic times. We come up with something that's going to work for the future. I get sick and tired of being sick and tired. When I begin to look at low-performing schools, Senator Shapiro, which you and I have talked about, what we're doing with those and repurposing the schools and the resources that we have that we are targeting towards those particular schools. I'm hoping that when we look at this, look at the formulas, look at the weights and things like that, that the policies that we put in place will be reflective of the policies that we want to see implemented within our education system.
As you said, there may not be the money, but we can build a system that can grow and provide for our schools. And as I said at the Midwinter Conference, we need to take a look at not just the inputs, but where we're going in public education and what we value as a state. And as I said there, you know, a system that values the arts will pay for the arts in public schools. A system that values the use of technology would greater fund technology. A system that values making sure that districts are reimbursed properly for transportation, as you said, will do that. And I think we need to look at all the different weights, but it's not just in inputs, but where we are going.
Demographers tell us in 30 years, which is not long, 30 years ago, Earl Campbell was a running back for the Houston Oilers, seems like yesterday. 30 years from now, we will double in population. I kind of counted legislative years like some people counted dog years. 30 years is 15 legislative sessions. Last session, I cast almost 5,000 votes, as did other members of the Senate and the House. In 2 months, we vote on bills about 2 months. 15 session times 2 is 30 months. We have 30 months to solve the problems of a state that will double in size. We're the 12th largest economy of the world. America depends on Texas to be strong. We will not be strong unless we have an education system that will provide a workforce for the future, not just college educated, but career tech. Time is wasting. We can't kick this can down the road any further.
This is a complex system. How much fun you have today is directly related to how much you liked the game Mousetrap as a child. But we will try and go through it quickly and lucidly. And the first slide is really to make a financial point, and that is just how large the school finance system is. And this matters for y'all structurally, particularly in terms of the budget. It is one of the largest components of the state budget. It is approaching $50 billion in state and local taxes. And one of the things that the legislature has to struggle through in this system is, as you adopt a biennial budget for the next 2 years, you are estimating what property values will be, what tax rates will be, what student enrollment will be. And if you are estimating and make a 1% error in projecting those costs, well, that's almost $500 million one way or the other. And the point of this is really just to say, keep in mind, this system is very, very large. It's a hard oil tanker to turn.
A great deal of clarity for whatever we come up with. Because at the present time, I'm in a financial exigency planning stage. I've got a 3-year plan to decrease our budget by cumulatively by some $63 million. And I think we need to do that for our taxpayers to show good faith, that we're trying to at least restrain costs. But it is going to mean doing things a lot differently than our taxpayers have been used to, because we were growing, as we were growing, and I take a lot of credit for that, our school district takes a lot of credit for that growth in our area. We were able to have things like an A-B schedule. Well, we can't have that anymore. And that was a huge issue with our patrons, but that's a $7 million tax savings to us right there, revenue savings. And we have pledged that we're going to cut the same percentage out of central office that we cut out of in terms of instruction. So it is now one of these issues that we come face to face with that we can't explain it. We try very hard to tell our constituents, you remember the old days? Where they're gone. And the way we used to generate revenue no longer exists. And to try to explain that in terms of now needing not only bond issues for facilities, but also to have perhaps a TRE or tax reauthorization election, that becomes an incredible burden now if we're going to continue to meet rising standards and meet the needs of a very diverse population.
I wanted to point out something that was a shock to me. In the fiscal year 2010, the one we're in right now, deficit budgets were adopted in 50% of the school districts in the state of Texas. And those school districts expect to spend almost $805 million more than the revenue that they will bring in, which means they're having to dip into the reserves. You can do that for a short time, but you can't do it for very long. We looked at the top 10 school districts with regard to adoption of those deficit budgets, and they are listed on slide 9, the next page. You'll see that ranges from $135 million in Houston down to $12.675 in Lubbock ISD, and of course we didn't take time to list all of them.
The Constitution calls for the legislature to make suitable provision for an efficient system of public education, and leaves it open to the legislature very much to describe what that system shall be. When you look at the system that we have, the goals of the system that have been established in law, in House Bill 3 we have a new set of goals that now deal with being in the top 10 states and preparing students for college and the workforce, for the elimination of performance gaps by race and socioeconomic status, for the elimination with those joint other goals that are already in the statute that look at issues of the high school graduation rate and even prescribe standards for financial adequacy and equity in Chapter 42 of the Education Code. So the goals of the state have been well established. The question is how is the most efficient way to get there?